Albert asks, if I'm talking about HB 3133, a proposed law in the state of Oklahoma, why am I referring to organizations or statistics that occur outside of the state of Oklahoma? That's a fair question. And just to recap, HB 3133 is a proposed law in the state of Oklahoma that would label Hispanic gang members who have engaged in activities such as human and substance trafficking as terrorists. And yeah, in my example, I used two predominantly non-Hispanic, predominantly white gangs that operate mostly outside of the state of Oklahoma, simply to make the point that human and substance trafficking and similar criminal activities are not something that are exclusive to the Hispanic community or exclusive to predominantly Hispanic gangs. And yet HB 3133 would label anybody who engages in these activities as a terrorist, but only if they are of Hispanic descent. But considering that those two examples were gangs that operate predominantly outside of Oklahoma, y'all didn't like the example. All right. And on the topic of terrorism, I also mentioned far-right militia movements as well as white supremacist gangs and organizations, mentioning that one, far-right militia movements have already engaged in acts of terror within the United States, and two, that the Department of Homeland Security has already labeled white supremacist movements as one of the biggest terror threats to this country. But y'all want Oklahoma-specific information. Gotcha. And for that, I went to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation's website and looked through their crime statistics, as well as the FBI's website and looked through their statistics specific to Oklahoma. And for the OSBI's website, they have crime statistics dating as far back as 2002, but their most recent information is only up to 2021. And on the FBI's website, I was able to get information as far back as 2013, but as recently as 2022. Now, since the primary intent is, according to J.J. Humphreys, supposedly to curtail drug trafficking in the state of Oklahoma, in particular fentanyl, we're going to focus right now on drug-related crimes in the state of Oklahoma. And for this, we're not looking at race, white, black, Asian, etc. We're looking solely at ethnicity. And we're looking at Hispanic versus non-Hispanic. Because after all, this bill specifically targets Hispanics. So let's take a look. In 2018, there were 17,798 arrests for drug-related crime. Out of these, 1,082 were Hispanic. 16,716 were non-Hispanic. In 2019, there were 15,365 arrests for drug-related crimes. 1,026 were Hispanic, 14,339 were non-Hispanic. In 2020, there were 11,797 drug-related arrests. 838 were Hispanic. 10,959 were non-Hispanic. For 2021, there were 15,716 arrests for drug-related crimes. 1,024 were Hispanic. 10,382 were non-Hispanic. Now for the FBI numbers, I just pulled the combined 2013 through 2022 numbers that showed there were 112,983 drug-related arrests in the state of Oklahoma, and out of those, only 5% were Hispanic. I'm not saying that no Hispanic participates in activities such as human trafficking or substance trafficking. I mean, clearly they do. We saw that there were Hispanics arrested for these crimes. But what those statistics show is that Hispanics aren't the majority when it comes to committing these specific acts. And I don't know how you can sit there and see a law that says if you engage in gang activity, in particular human or substance trafficking, then you are a terrorist, but only if you are Hispanic. I don't know how you could sit there and tell me that that law isn't somehow racially or ethnically motivated. And so to me, this is nothing more than J.J. Humphrey instilling xenophobic sentiment for the purpose of riling up his base to gather support for himself. Especially in this very xenophobic anti-immigrant environment that was ushered in and solidified by Trump-era rhetoric. Don't fall for it.